Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mansfield Buzz. All right, everybody, welcome to the Mansfield Buzz. And it is Thursday at 2 p.m. We're on live every single Thursday from 2 p.m. So, my other host over here, Jordan Huff, and of course, our guest is Susan Smith, a family law attorney. We're going to be talking to her a few minutes. But before we do that, let me go through some stuff. And that is, we are on YouTube. Jordan, I think I've got that right. There it is. If you want to right now on YouTube, our handle is Mansfield TX Buzz. You can go over there right now. You can subscribe, hit the notification button, and of course, you'll be alerted anytime we go live every Thursday. And we put up a lot of shorts at the shows of all the guests we've previously had. So go check that out. So, Jordan.
Yes.
Show number, Susan, 36. We are celebrating our 1-year anniversary as of today. It's hard to believe we've been on a year already. Yes, it is. It's today. And just so people always ask me this, could you tell me what kind of reach you have in your local area before I sign up? Okay. 1.7 thousand views in the last 28 days. We're now up to 44.9 watch time hours. We hit 53 days ago. Total channel of 17,000 views, 375 watch time hours in the last year, and 135 subscribers. And that is a local show on YouTube that we're not broadcasting outside the local area. So the point is, we're gaining traction locally, and that's what we want to see. Okay. So if you guys also want to be a guest on the show, you can email me and hit in the subject line. I want to be on your fantastic show. Yes, we really do. And so you can email me at hurdy@hurdyburke.com. And then next, we got to talk about these wonderful guys because they help us cover some of the light bills. That is the actual streaming server we have to save everything to. And Jordan, I had somebody, and Susan had somebody ask me the other day, they go, so how do y'all do that? Are y'all in a real studio?
Well, kind of, right?
I go, kind of. It's virtual. The beauty of this is our guests don't have to drive to a physical location, be set up in front of a green screen. We actually connect everybody from where their office is or their home office. Like I'm sitting in my home office right now with my backdrop. Jordan's at his house. Susan's in her office in Arlington. So the beauty of this is we can pull it all together. So it is a virtual studio that we stream live from, and StreamYard pushes it out to LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. So we are streaming on 3 media platforms. So let's talk about Liberty Tax Defenders. And before we get to Susan, let's go ahead and do our icebreaker section, which is great. Here we go. All right, it's always easier for me to pull this up on screen and just read it because this way I'm in compliance with what they want us to say. We want to thank Liberty Tax Defenders is your premier tax resolution firm. We work every day to help hardworking Americans keep more of their money in and out of the hands of overzealous bureaucrats. We help our clients solve problems with back taxes, unfiled tax returns, payroll, trust fund issues. We also negotiate payment plans and offers and compromises that are favorable to our clients, as well as represent clients who are under the audit before the IRS. In addition, we help clients navigate tax issues such as employee retention credit, as well as providing CFO consulting, tax preparation, and accounting services. We are successfully helped our clients save over, and that I keep trying to change this, Jordan, but it's $2 million in asset taxes and penalty, assessed taxes and penalties. If you find yourself under audit knowing back taxes, please do not hesitate to call us at 817-995-5008 or visit our website at www.libertytaxdefenders.com. And here's a quick 1 minute video we're going to show you real quick from our sponsors, and we're going to jump on and talk to Susan about some of her wonderful icebreakers.
I just found out I got a nasty letter in the mail saying I'm under audit. What do I do?
You don't have to agree with what they find. Have we seen that they can make mistakes?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think $1.2 million that we've saved our clients can show that they're not always right. So many people go at it alone. They just want to get it over with. They'll submit to an interview. They'll submit to letting the IRS come out. And that's the worst thing you can possibly do. You need to get somebody that can defend you, prevent you from talking to the IRS, prevent them from camping out at your place of business. They are taking the most extreme position. They are protecting the government's interests, not yours. Verify that that's correct. And then you have appellate rights. You don't have to just agree to their finding. You can appeal it. The appeals division of the IRS is an option for remediation that's available to taxpayers. It is quasi-independent. So you don't have such hardcore believers in the IRS mission working with appeals. They're reasonable. They always consider the hazards of litigation, and they're willing to negotiate, willing to knock off penalties oftentimes, willing to accept, you know what, this position is extreme. So when you're under audit, get help. Don't go at it alone.
All right, there you go. So thank you, Liberty Tax Defenders, being our sponsor. And now, Jordan, it is on to, and we already got a comment. So let's find out what that is, and then we'll jump into. So Sandra from our Mansfield group says, "Hi, Mansfield Buzz and Susan, excited for the show today." So there you go. There's our first comment on there. Appreciate it. So Jordan, let's jump into Susan's. Susan, welcome. Okay.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for not having the flu this time.
No,
that was me both and her.
it was so bad. I think I sounded like an 80-year-old grandma who's been smoking a pack a day since she was 8. It was bad.
Would have helped with a lawyer persona, huh?
Something like that. But yeah.
All right, let me get into her first icebreaker. Are you ready, Jordan?
Let's do it.
All right, let me get over here to the banners real quick.
I'm not entirely sure how to get the big thing off the screen.
Oh, I got it. Yep, it's always fun when we're on the yeah, we're live, and by the way, we're live. And just to explain before we get into our icebreakers, Jordan and I both have tasks on a dashboard that our guests can't see. That's just totally moving back and forth. So if we forget something, audience, chat, just let us know on chat, okay?
Live show, right?
That's right. All right.
So I'm excited about this one, Susan. Actually, I didn't know about this. So apparently you got a love for archaeology.
Yeah, so I went on my first archaeology dig when I was 6 months old. And I went on at least 2 or 3 other digs every year until the time I was about 18 to 20. I did archaeology growing up all over Texas, parts of New Mexico, and it's just been a huge part of my life. As soon as I started getting summer jobs in college and law school, that's kind of when I phased out of it. And I really miss it. I was in a group called the Texas Archaeological Society, and you basically go camp out in the middle of nowhere for a week, and your summer vacation is spent in the dirt, sweating. You take maybe 2 or 3 showers. You're woken up by a car horn at 5:30 a.m. And I love it. I miss it terribly. It's just really hard to get that amount of time now to go back and do it. But I've been on excavations from prehistoric to historic, and it's unreal how it's kind of shaped my life and my views of things. So
that is really cool. And
love it.
I know some of the major discoveries that have been made. I know specifically one in Texas. I think one of the biggest T-Rex that found here was made by an amateur archaeologist.
Did you say a T-Rex?
I think it was a T-Rex, yes.
Yeah. So archaeology is past humans, and paleontology is dinosaurs.
Oh,
But you can people get them confused all the time, but also sometimes you're on an archaeology dig and if you don't always know where
what are you going to
you're
find?
just going down and you're finding nothing. And then sometimes people are like, what is this bone? And they're like, that's not an animal. And then a paleontologist is like, oh,
Yeah.
That's on me.
that is pre-human.
That's a good tie-in, right, Hurdy? Because you were on a paleontology dig that turned into an archaeology dig, right?
Yeah, so I was visited to Galt with the main archaeologist down there, and with a underground geologist that takes underground pictures to trace something. And I showed the video to Susan. What happens in the Galt is kind of one of the first North American really famous digs, where they went down 30 feet to bedrock. They found the Clovis, which was pretty much understood. They found the first ancient house and ancient horse, but they also found that there was another civilization before that they mapped to be 20 to 25,000 years old, that they still have not yet to identify. Maybe they have today, because I shot that film 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but as of no, there's still no information on it.
So
what we were doing was we were taking pictures underground through seismology. There's equipment you use to take, and we were looking for the ancient creek bed to see if they ever do another dig, they'll know which way it runs.
That the Galt site was fascinating. I actually got to excavate on the Galt site.
You got to go see it when it was open in the ground, right?
Yeah. And it was when they knew, they were like, oh, we have pre-Clovis here. And they had this amazing, intricate system where because if you're excavating, dirt from where you are will get into the site, but that would be a contamination.
Yep.
And so they had such an elaborate system to keep the site pristine, and then, but also to allow people to get in and actually excavate deeper. It was fascinating. Most people, you learn in elementary school, it's called the peopling of the Americas, where the indigenous peoples came over the land bridge from what we now know as Russia, across the Bering Strait, Alaska, and then down into North America, and then use a process called adaptive radiation to go all the way down to the very bottom of South America. And I mean, and that's what's still in textbooks today.
Yeah.
But the age of the Galt site, and then there's a site in the very south part of South America called Monteverde. It is impossible for the, I think old knowledge is 13 to 15,000 years ago, people came across the land bridge. Well, at that exact time is when Monteverde was just being started. And so you don't come across at a sprint when you don't know where the hell you're going.
Yeah, exactly.
So the popular theories are that the first people into the America came by boat,
came down
island hopping on the coast, on the West Coast. And some are even saying they came straight across the Pacific.
And then they came around and came into the Gulf of America. That's right. I'm kidding.
We're going to say Mexico.
I'm kidding. But hey, it's intriguing, and also people have to do right. Susan's go online, look up the Galt, Gault. They've got plenty of pictures of showing how they intricately did the step downs into the bottom of the excavation, which is really cool. And so today's show is about not family law, but about archaeology. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I know. If anybody is interested in archaeology, the Texas Archaeological Society, I did not mean for this to turn into a plug of TAS.
No, it's perfect.
But,
it's great.
But it has one of the best youth programs in the nation for youth archaeology. And you can Google Texas Archaeological Society and find out more. I would encourage anybody and everybody who's interested to do it because it's amazing.
And they do digs all over Texas that are sanctioned and are unavailable except if you know what you're doing. So there you go.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So we're going to lead Jordan now from archaeology to what?
So we've established that you and dead people get along really well. How about you and animals?
It depends on the animal. We're just going to say that I'm one of those people that has to learn things the hard way. So an animal bite. So I've obviously been bitten by dogs, but that hasn't stopped me. I've been bitten by a duck, and they're mean. It doesn't hurt that bad, but they're mean and surprising. And then also I've been bitten by a turtle, like right here on my nose.
Ow.
So
they have a beep. That's like legit bite.
They do let go. It did not take thunder to let the turtle.
He was saying, mind your own business.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk to him.
Keep your nose out of it.
Right.
There's all sorts of one-liners we could say right now, right? But we won't.
No,
A
right?
lot. I walked right into that one.
I mean, I'm still wondering how that happened. Like, how did you get your face that close to this?
Well, I had the turtle in my hand, and
she was like, she did this probably, you know?
Yeah. And it just went.
It's awesome. And then it was just like hanging.
No. I mean, it went and let go. And then I very much let go of the turtle.
Should turn into piercing. You'd be a lawyer with a little piercing there. It's like, it was a turtle.
Right.
Jordan, I love our icebreakers, man. The things we put together in 36 shows is just amazing. Turtle. Okay.
We should make just a show about icebreakers.
Got it.
All right. Now let's get into law.
Yeah.
Family law. So let's see. How long have you been practicing for?
I've been in practice 16 years.
16 years. That's a long time.
Lots of experience.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's enough to turn a child from adorable to annoying.
I mean, that happens faster than that, but yes.
But, you know, in that long time, like, what would you say has been your highlight so far in 16 years?
So I had the first same-sex divorce in Tarrant County. And actually, so I started my career at a big law firm. I was there for about 4.5 years. And then when I left, I started my own law firm, had a partner, and, we would kind of take whatever would come through the door. I did not set out to do family law. I thought that the only attorneys that did family law were attorneys that couldn't do anything else, which I found out is very much true, but also very not true.
Yeah. So I guess a lot of our audiences, they're not attorneys. So is there like the cardiology of attorney like law? Like what, like, it's like, oh, like if you're an attorney, that's what you should do?
Whatever type of law someone practices, I mean, the cardiology of attorneys might be like patent litigation, but to me that would just bore me to tears, and I would hate that. Yeah. Like, I love family law. And right after I started a law firm, after leaving the big one, I'm just sitting there looking at the phone waiting for it to ring because now I have no income, and I'm just like, ring. And so the third phone call that I got was a friend of mine from high school, and she was married to a woman. This was in 2014, and she had gotten married out of state, and they'd been married for a while, and she wanted a divorce. And because same-sex marriage wasn't legal in Texas at that time, Texas didn't allow same-sex divorces either, so I was kind of like, well, okay, so here's what's happening. Here's your right, what you can do. So the way for her to proceed was a petition to void the marriage. And, I went with her through the options, and she did not want attention. She did not want to carry the flag. She did not want to do anything. She just wanted to be out of her marriage. Unfortunately, the soon-to-be ex-wife did want a divorce per se. And so the soon-to-be ex filed a petition for divorce. And then I had 3 on-camera interviews. I was front page above the fold on the Star Telegram twice.
Oh, God.
The judge, we had our final trial, which, I mean, everything was agreed. They didn't have anything. So it should have been like a 60, 61 day divorce done. And instead it turned into like almost 2 years.
Wow.
And
so like neither side contesting it.
Right.
Wow.
And the judge denied the divorce. And like, I mean, I like to tell people it's the only divorce I've ever lost. Where the judge's like, nope, I'm sorry, you can't get divorced. But he granted the void to void the marriage. And so both parties appealed to the Second Court of Appeals in Fort Worth. And they asked for briefing, so we briefed it, and then they asked for oral arguments. And so, I got to give oral arguments in this case. And right 3 weeks after, it didn't take 2 years, it took 1.5 years plus. Right after the oral arguments, Obergefell came down June 26, 2015. And so then the Second Court of Appeals was like, oh, new Supreme Court precedent from the United States, pass, trial court, you decide it in light of Obergefell, please. And so the trial court granted the divorce then in light of Obergefell. So, I had the first same-sex divorce in Tarrant County. If you go to my Facebook page, my cover photo is actually me giving an interview, or actually several interviews, to the reporters who were waiting outside the Court of Appeals.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
So famous when you didn't want to be. Right.
It was, I also tell people, I'm like, well, I peaked early. So,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Although I'm sure your clients do not want to be on the center page of the Star Telegram.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Wow. Kind of an unusual situation, but that's crazy. I mean, that to be under that much scrutiny.
Mm-hmm. And it really kind of catapulted me from just being a Joe Schmo brand new family law attorney. I wasn't a brand new lawyer, but I was brand new to family law.
Mm-hmm.
It really kind of put me into a category of attorney that probably would have taken me years to get into.
So Karen Ray in chat just said she loves that picture on your Facebook page, just so you know.
Awesome.
That's character.
That's cool. All right.
So then moving on to your journey here. I mean, that's crazy. That's a hell of a start. So with that kind of an emotional range, what would you say is your favorite part of lawyering, enacting the law, lawyers?
There's a lot. I love being in court. Like, I come alive in court. And sometimes it's hard for me to remember that anytime I'm in court, my client is terrified. And they are just, I only have expletives coming to mind, but like, I love it. The moment you go in those courtroom doors, you're on. and whether or not you're performing for the bailiff, the judge, opposing counsel, the other party, like everything that I do in the courtroom, in the courthouse is calculated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I find that interesting that you said that every time you're performing in front of, right? Like that gives me a lot of insight into the way you approach it.
Yes. So, I mean, and some days I have off days, but it's not, nothing about it is fake though. It's all, you want to go into the courtroom like you own it. Mm-hmm. And that your client, their voice needs to be heard. Sometimes one of the hardest things of lawyering is explaining how they perceive justice and fairness should be, and how that, so what is happening here doesn't line up with what you think, but trust me, this is good. Wait, because a lot of times the court will just say, I've heard enough. I don't, because the courts are slammed. They're always working, just all the time, people in and out and in and out. And so sometimes my clients are like, but I didn't get to say anything. And I'm like, it's a good thing. Trust me.
So you know what you just reminded me of? Do you remember the movie The Shining? With
vaguely,
and he comes storming in with the axe and he goes, "It's Johnny and it's showtime."
Yes.
So do you just kind of, when my point is, do you just walk up to those doors and you open them? Do you just get changed? You just go, I'm on. Do you just build up to it, or do you just get there and all of a sudden the energy comes?
I start in the car.
Okay. All right.
So I have, depending on what I have going on.
Yeah.
The other day I was in court, and I had 2 hearings, but they weren't really contested, ish. And so my song that I was playing was Black Eyed Peas, Where's the Love?
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
But if I have like a big hearing where I really have to kick some ass, I have Chinchilla, Little Girl Gone on repeat.
So you do use some music then to kind of start charging the batteries and getting all ready for you walk in and doing whatever you had to do, get that energy going in your system or get rid of some of it, whatever. That's pretty cool. All right.
And I like how you put it in there, because about it being a performance but not being fake.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I never thought about it too, but like live shows, like what we're doing right now, it's similar in that way, right? Like Herdy and I mean, you guys have talked to us. This is pretty close to what we are in person, but it's not the same. There is a performance element to it, and there's a reason why we have startup song to the show, right? And I got some speakers here, a subwoofer. I mean, the whole house like shakes when the show's starting.
All right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And that's why, because I have a home office, so when I have people at home, they know that the show is starting. It serves a dual purpose, but it gets you pumped up and it gets you in the mood, ready to exude some energy, because the art of communication requires a lot of energy. So I would imagine you're pretty tired by the end of your court cases.
Oh yes. I mean, it's like, normally I have court in the mornings, and unless it's something unusual, it's normally set for 8:30 or 9. And even if it's easy stuff, it takes 4 to 5 hours. And, you have to be on for opposing counsel. No, it's not like A Few Good Men, but I have tried the strenuously object, and the judge just looked at me like
Doug.
that. And then it's like a legal objection counselor.
Yeah.
And, back whenever I was a baby in family law, because I didn't go to court very much. working for the big firm because I was the junior associate. Basically just, carrying water. But I mean, I can spout off rules and stuff like nobody's business. And I am so grateful for that experience, but I wasn't in the courtroom all that much. And I was scared for the first 2.5 or 3 years. Anytime I went to court, I was terrified. And my client was looking to me like, you're supposed to be the one calming me down. And instead it's getting worse.
You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Because I remember one of my very first family law hearings, like I was looking at my outline and I had it up free and my client was right there and it was just shaking, and so after that, like I listened to a few TED Talks or whatever about like fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would go into one of the conference rooms and do the star pose, where like you get big. Yeah, like that. And I would just do that. And then I would say like, this is really embarrassing. Like you're a badass. You got this, fuck yeah. Like lots of cuss words.
Mm-hmm.
And
so Susan keeps reminding me of movies. And so here I am watching Silver Streak and I'm watching Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor walk out of the bathroom going, we bad, walking down. If you have never seen that, you won't get it till you go watch it. Silver Streak. Sorry.
So
that's funny.
Unbelievable. So, eventually like I started to feel like I belonged there. And now like I love court. I mean, it is my home and my happy place because unlike talking with people out on the street, there is an order and a decorum. And so like people aren't supposed to interrupt. If someone interrupts, the judge slaps them down. Or, the judge is going to be like, you're next. I promise you're going to get your turn, and you do get your turn for the most part. But one time I was representing a lady getting out of an abusive relationship. And I mean, I knew she was going to be a terrible witness. Like I knew that she would just crumble on the stand.
Mm-hmm.
And so before going in for that hearing, because it's very scary, especially in DV cases where like you've separated them and now it's like kind of their first time where they're in the same room with that person again. And so I took her into a conference room and we did the starfish pose. And she had a friend there with her and they were also both of them very religious. And I was cussing a lot. And I was making her repeat after me, and it worked. It pumped her up. But also like her friend was like, you have got to just not cuss like that. And I was like, it works.
That's right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Why did you choose family law, right? Like you love the courtroom so much and there's a lot of cases where you would get to do that a lot, but family law has a little bit more of a personal touch to it. So I'm curious what took you down this path.
I did not want to be a family law attorney. So I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer since I was in 8th grade. And I thought that I wanted to be a prosecutor, and put bad guys in jail. Mm-hmm. And then going through law school, you participate in something called OCI, on-campus interviews. And, if you make good grades and interview well, like the goal is you get a clerkship after your second year. So you're basically an intern going into your 3rd year. And then if it all goes according to plan, you get a big law firm job waiting for you at graduation. My trajectory didn't quite follow that path, but I still had a job waiting on me when I graduated, which is that big the big law firm. And I did medical malpractice defense, construction defect, a lot of professional liabilities, architects, engineers, doctors, nurses, and basically anything that came across my desk, I did, you know. But, you know, like I said, I wanted to be in the courtroom. And my idea was, you know, when I started my firm, that I was going to do like civil litigation and kind of keep doing the same thing, but just a little bit different, you know, for businesses and sophisticated law. But what came in the door was family law. My very first phone call was family law. The second phone call was family law. And the third one, which was that same-sex divorce, was family law. And then I realized just how much I loved it, because it is so personal. You know, I came to understand that one of my biggest like frustrations in as being a lawyer early on was that everything was so impersonal and it was just all about money. Okay. And now then, family law is still 50% about money. You know, it's just the other 50% is kids. So it's a lot more pressure. It's a lot more stress. And I have people's whole entire world, you know, their family in my hands. But what I loved and what made me fall in love with family law, and now it's the only thing I do to the exclusion of everything else. Like I don't do any other type of law. I love at the end of a case to look at my client and just be like, I told you so. I told you you could do it. I knew you could do it. Look at you now. And they're like, yeah, you know, it's hard sometimes because, I mean, people come to see me at their worst, at their bottom, or what they think is their bottom, you know, but it's like, I have news for you. This is not your bottom. Okay. Like you've taken the hardest step, which is like picking up the phone and calling a lawyer. The next hardest step is doing it, but it's still not as hard as the first one. But, you know, I love being able to tell people you did it and you're doing it. Look at you now. Cool.
I like that. Good story.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask you too, a little bit of follow up on that too, because I've been to your website and you're one of the few people that actually has information about the process on the website. So people go click on it. It's fascinating. Can you walk us a little bit for, hopefully not anybody listening to this, but if you're listening to this, maybe in the recording, remain anonymous, but you're thinking about, you know, potentially going through a divorce. What is the process like?
So let's say that I have a potential client, you know, they're like, okay, well, so how do I do this? It all starts with filing a petition. Okay. So if it's a divorce petition. If you are not married, but you'll have a child together, it's a suit affecting parent-child relationship. So everything gets started with a petition. It's a request. Okay. And the request is what gets filed with the county and it gets docketed with a court. And from there, that's the only predictable part. Okay. Is the kickoff. Okay.
I bet.
But normally you either try to agree to a set of rules that govern the divorce while you untangle everything, or if you can't agree, then you go to court. And if you go to court, that's called a temporary orders hearing. And those temporary orders set the rules for, if you have kids, possession, child support, rights and duties. So like which parent is allowed to make what type of decisions and when for the kids. Who gets to live in the house, who has to pay which bills, spousal support, things like that. what the temporary order sharing is not. It is not saying, okay, he gets this, she gets that, he gets that, she gets that. They don't do that. If it's a house or a car, then they'll say, okay, she gets the temporary right to use to his exclusion, and vice versa.
Okay.
And so then once you get those ground rules set up, again, the first goal is always by agreement, because that's the easiest and it's the least amount of heartburn. But if it's no agreement, you go to court. So after that part, then you're in the actual like resolution part of the divorce, and then, or custody or whatever. And then people can either like grind in and spend as much money as they want to find assets, find the dirt, create leverage, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or they can actually, sometimes you need discovery, sometimes. Or you can actually be like, okay, this is what it is. I don't like it, but I accept it. And work towards resolving it, untangling everything. And then the decree kind of puts it all together, represents their agreement. Or if you ultimately have to go to trial, which it takes about a year to a year and a half, if you're going to go to trial, then the decree is what closes everything. Before trial, it's mediation, or we try and negotiate an agreement. But that's the ultimate process.
Yeah.
Okay. So when is it finally over? Is that after the decree?
When the decree is signed.
Okay.
It also gives people a real heart attack when it's the actual most correct answer is 30 days after the decree is signed.
Oh, okay.
The court possesses something called plenary power, and it's the court can change its mind
Is there
on its own.
Susan, is there a grace period if people change their mind after a decree sign, or is that the final?
If it's within 30 days and they change their mind and they want to reconcile, I would just be like, well, just leave it and just go get married.
No, I got that. I wasn't trying to be silly with
Yeah.
that. I just figure there's got to be cases where somebody's changed their mind. Not often, I can imagine.
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe.
So I do have a funny story that I think I can tell, because it happened a very, very long time ago. I had a guy that needed to get divorced like yesterday. And I was like, well, you have to wait 60 days. He was like, well, my ex, who has skedaddled, we don't have kids, we don't have crap, she filed 6 months ago and it's still pending. I was like, oh, okay, well then you're in luck. He's like, but I have to get remarried in 2 weeks. And I was like, well, that's a problem. And because there's a 30-day, by Texas law, there's a 30-day prohibition on remarriage.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he explained the situation to me. And so luckily I got the soon-to-be ex-wife signed off on the decree. He signed off. And I was like, okay, bring your fiance and your wedding invitations to court. And we're going to prove this up. And we're asking the judge to waive the 30-day prohibition on remarriage. And so then I asked the judge that, and I had my client with me at the bench. So we're not at counsel tables like you see in court. We're just at the bench. And I'm like, Judge, I am requesting a 30-day waiver, the remarriage prohibition. And he was like, why? And I was like, well, my client has to get remarried. And he was like the first look, I was like, and I was like, I actually have her here to call as a witness if you need her. And we have the invitations. And he was like, why can't they just wait until day 31? And I was like, my client is getting deployed in like X number of days. And he just looked at my client and just put his head down on the bench and started laughing. And he was like, call your fiance up here. He just wanted to see him squirm. And made her be like, she was like, being like, I told him to get this done so long ago, blah, 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 blah. But he granted it. So
Wow.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, family law has got so many different aspects to it. I think majority of people, I would imagine, think of just divorces and child support, not child support, custody, including all that. But what would you say is one of the like misconceptions people have about family law?
It brings in every single other aspect of law into it, which is why I'm so grateful for the background that I have in like doing some pretty sophisticated types of litigation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I deal with immigration issues, I deal with business entities, I deal with trusts and estates, I deal with buyouts, I deal with criminal law all the time. And truly, like the good family law attorneys have to know at least, I say enough to be dangerous, about a huge number of topics. And I'm able to like triage certain complicated areas, but I also know when to call in like an expert and which person to call to like actually help resolve the issue.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, but sometimes the entities attached to the individuals can make things very complicated.
Oh, yes.
So I have a question too. So Susan, I know the process of what people have to do, but how would you know somebody's petition for divorce? How do you go about getting this client on the front end? Do they contact you directly? Do they find you through a website, or are you pervious to seeing what goes into the courts and you can call them? And how does that work?
So are you basically asking like how clients find family law attorneys?
Yeah, exactly.
Or how attorneys get clients?
Yes.
Okay. Most of the time it's the client searching out
Okay.
the lawyer. There's actually a very unique rule that applies to lawyers. I am not allowed to go out and solicit people one-on-one directly.
Gotcha.
That's called barratry.
Okay.
And it's a huge ethical problem.
So you don't go door to door, just knocking like, "Hello, do you need
You
a
don't have
divorce?"
door hangers
I
or
heard y'all
anything?
fighting last night. Here's my card.
You don't have any door hangers? Oh, come
Y'all are
on.
way
No.
too loud. Here's my card.
No, but so most of people find out about me by asking friends, looking online, going to my website, or asking other lawyers. And I would tell people if they're looking for a lawyer, they need to call a lawyer that does not do the type of law that they're looking for. And get like if you're looking, if someone's looking for a criminal attorney, call me and I will give you the names of some amazing criminal attorneys.
That is a great thought.
If you call a criminal attorney and you're looking for a criminal attorney, that attorney's be like, "Oh, me. Of course, me."
Right. So you can be a great referral source and cross promote each other because you've got the working relationships. That's awesome.
Right. And I don't refer to people that I don't trust.
Exactly.
You know,
Perfect.
because that's my reputation on the line.
That's perfect.
If you know how if you get a speeding ticket, suddenly you get a ton of mail that's like, "Speeding ticket, call me," you know?
Yeah.
That is an exception on the barratry thing, but there are attorneys out there who will troll the filing system, and they will send mailers out to the respondents in a divorce, and that is so dangerous.
Okay.
So dangerous because
Yeah.
I mean, I wish that would be changed to prohibit that for family law specifically, because especially if it's a protective order, like there are people's lives at stake.
Yeah.
And sometimes you file things and the timing's not right. And so like the client waits.
Right.
And then suddenly the person gets something in the mail that's like, you've been sued for divorce. Your rights are at issue, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
So a lot of referrals, cross promotion of each other, building your circle of people
Mhm.
you've worked with in different arenas of law and that's a great idea. So if somebody wants a good defense attorney, then they could call you and you could say, hey, let me give you 5 people I've worked with, I trust wholly to work with you, depending on your case. That's awesome. Awesome.
Especially if it's like the type of lawyer where you would, you know, the most popular types of lawyers, criminal defense, family law, and PI. Like, go to people who know the good people, you know, like don't use Google.
Yeah.
Although people have found me on Google and I'm like, did you go to page 5? You know, because I don't do any type
I would agree with you that that's one probably area that people shouldn't be searching, right?
Yeah.
Like cheap lawyer in Dallas.
Cheap lawyer. Discount lawyer.
Discount lawyer.
I know. Discount.
Who's the guy that has the hammer? Who's that guy?
Yep.
Hey, so I've got a graph here, Jordan. I'm going to interrupt you in the next question because you gave me something earlier, Susan, to upload. I don't have that picture, but I have this. Can you tell us a little bit about what I'm posting up here?
Yeah.
So this is the 2025 Texas Standard Possession Schedule. I have expanded in parentheses because I think in 2023-ish, the Texas legislature changed some things that I'm not going to get into. But that's why that's in parentheses. But basically, this is the schedule that it's the default schedule. So whenever you hear people say, oh, we do every other weekend, this is what they mean. Okay. And it is first, third, and fifth weekends, which is actually not quite every other weekend. There's about 4 times a year where there are back-to-back weekends on here because a fifth weekend is always followed by a first weekend.
Oh, that makes sense. That's okay. Yeah, because my nephew is on this schedule, so I see him when he's with my brother, and like sometimes it's back to back. I'm like, how does that work?
Yeah. So I've been putting out these calendars since about 2014 or 2015, and it's available on my website. You can go in and download it.
That. Yeah.
I've actually had people call me a long time ago, and like they were in like Dumas, which is the far north panhandle. They're like, hey, when are you going to put that calendar up? I really need it. You know, I was like, oh, okay.
All right.
That's funny. Cool. That's what that was. So that's the schedules of the what days you can visit, drop off things.
Right. And that's not, so that schedule is never set in stone. Okay.
Right. Gotcha.
That's the one where if you can't agree on a schedule, chances are, depending on your facts, that's the most likely schedule that the court will order because the legislature says it is presumed that this schedule is in the best interest.
Good.
A lot of people do 50-50. There are arguments for and against 50-50. If you look at that schedule that you just had up, if you take that on a 3-year rolling average after taking into account school breaks, holidays, and summer, it's a 47-53 split.
Okay. Right.
And so, you know, what I try and drive home to my clients is like, children are not footballs. Okay. Time of possession doesn't win the game. And the
great analogy.
The kids don't know. Okay. What they know is they know how they feel when they're with you. They know how they feel when they're with the other parent. And they know the exchanges. And so if the parents can put aside time of possession, everybody's going to be just fine. Yeah. And there was something else I wanted to say about that schedule, but yeah, I can't remember.
Do I need to pull it up?
No.
Okay. All right.
So, Susan, while I have you here, and And also have a good piece of knowledge for everybody out there. What would you say is what people mess up the most in their
Yeah, I want to know this answer.
Texting.
You didn't even think. Wow. Okay. Please elaborate.
That was easy.
No, I can't.
That was easy.
Yeah, no, like the best response in a text message.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, don't. What you're saying is don't elaborate on anything.
Right, and I mean, and really, there's always going to be exceptions, but you're never going to convince them that you're right. You know,
No.
Oh, I've got this amazing comeback, blah, 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 blah. No.
Yeah.
Delete. And I mean, and literally, I sometimes with some clients, I'm like, I'm giving you 3 responses that I want you to save in your notes, and you go in and you copy paste. And thank you for letting me know is number 1, because it's perfectly innocuous.
Yeah, it's just I've acknowledged you and thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then the number 2 way that people mess up their case is that they pay their lawyer for advice and then they ignore it. And like, they're like, I know you said this, but blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
but no.
No buts. Like, why are you paying me if you're not going to listen to me? That is stupid.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But I imagine
is that because they think that they can get through it, eat better without they think that, or is it just uncomfortable for them sometimes
Emotions.
and they just get scared? Right.
It's emotions.
All right.
And I mean, and really and truly, to me, I forget just how foreign law is. To me, the law is so common sense. But I've now been almost 20 years in the law, if you add in my law school time.
Yeah.
And people just let emotions cloud their decision, and they think that that if they keep talking, and I'm guilty of this too, they think that if they keep talking that they can convince whoever's listening, be it the judge, the other attorney, or their, co-parent, that they can convince them that they're wrong or that, whoever's speaking is right.
Right.
And that's just not the case. Sometimes you just need to shut up.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. 100%. Shut.
So to tie this full circle, because now I'm curious, you started out being a huge fan of archaeology. Now you have 20 years being a lawyer. What made you want to be an attorney?
I was in a program called Youth in Government in 8th grade, and it's where you could take the 3 co-equal branches of government, and you could get involved in the judiciary. You could get involved in the executive branch or the legislative branch.
Right.
So in the judiciary, you had mock trials. In the executive branch, I forget what they did, but it was neat. But the legislative branch is like the kids, 8th graders, wrote proposed legislation. And then you would have regional competitions, area competitions. And then if you got to, you would advance to state and you would go to the state capitol, and the legislative branch would be in the House and Senate chambers. The judiciary would be in actual real courtrooms. And when I was a senior, I was elected to be the presiding judge of the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Texas has 2 Supreme Courts, one for civil and one for criminal. So the Texas Criminal Court of Appeals is the Supreme Court for criminal stuff. So I was the presiding judge of that, and we got to have all of our arguments and proceedings in the actual Court of Criminal Appeals.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was really cool.
You just brought back memories of my high school days when we used to pick one of those 3 branches and pick one and do a debate on stage. We'd do our notes and come back and debate 2 sides of maybe something going on in the executive, like we're seeing today, kind of actually, but there you go. Okay, cool. Yay.
That's amazing. And anything you would
do? That got
different?
you excited.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do anything different. There's been a lot of really hard shit that I've had to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to do it again, but it's brought me to where I am. And I love my life.
And I would say, Jordan, based on the fact that we are in a network group that Susan has formed and runs really well, we've gotten to know her. And I can tell you, she's one of the most transparent people I've ever met. She will tell you what's going on. She'll tell you the truth. But at the same time, she'll laugh and smile and tell a joke, and she'll stick her head inside you on a modern phone booth. And when you're doing a skit, she'll stick her head in and pull it out. Okay, just so you know. Yeah, so watch. See?
Oh, I'm wearing the same thing.
We prepared.
I'm wearing the same thing.
Oh, we just shot that today. we got a comment here. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Let's see what this says. So Karen Ray says, I enjoy getting to know more about Susan Day. I already loved her, but love her more now. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah,
She's awesome.
It's a fun story, and it's been a fun ride. I think you've really, I mean, just the gamut of things, right? Going from big agency, or I guess, what do you call like the big law firms?
Mm-hmm.
Going
so,
independent?
I mean, yeah, it's big for like DFW, but in the legal field, they call it big law. It was not big law, but big enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, 4 years into it, wanting to run your own thing, which I think also speaks a lot about who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And, 4 years into it, that's a big, bold move.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know that we really have time to get into it, but what I didn't know when I was leaving the firm is that I was pregnant. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And boy, if you didn't know that and you that would put the fear of in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy smoke.
I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, I know one thing, Jordan. Here, let me tell you just a little funny story that I picked up a snippet one morning at our Wednesday network group where Susan had really proudly just given somebody hell within the courtroom and was so excited that she just blasted them to the wall. You remember that? It was, you came in going, I just blasted that that to the wall.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done it.
I remember that.
That is true. Yep.
I loved it.
Yeah. And, that's a great point, Herdy. When you're working with Susan, because I've got to see you at the Mansfield Business Collective, you're passionate about your clients like that.
Yes, absolutely. This lady's brought in a good defense attorney to speak to our group and how we should approach things, giving us some free advice because I think you're right. Susan, one of the things I just picked up on from this whole thing is that I have the same problem you do. I've been doing what I've been doing so long, I forget that the stuff that I know so well, not known to the people I'm working with, and it just what seems so simple to me is not simple to them. So you almost have to go back and take people through baby steps, right? To take them through the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. So Jordan, we're bumping into the hour, and I know he's got some surprise he wants to play for you. Jordan, would you lead us into this so we get a story behind it before you do it?
Okay. Cool? Yes. So we commissioned a very famous rapper to write a song for Susan and drop millions and millions of dollars to have this composed for her. So, we got a comment.
Oh.
A former client of Susan's could not have chosen anyone better to be in my corner. No one has more grit and tenacity than this one. Thanks, Susan. There you go.
That's a great lead-in because that's
there exactly you go.
What it's
awesome.
About.
Turn the baby mama drama in the league on Nirvana.
Wow. Gordon's so proud of himself. Look at that. He's getting red. He turned to the picture. He turned to the color of his jacket. That's
mama drama in the league on Nirvana.
Love it.
Turning baby mama drama in the league on Nirvana. Turning baby mama drama in the league on Nirvana.
I love it.
Love show.
So, Jordan, how did you do that? I know, but you actually got that voice right through AI. Turn it up.
Well, I'll talk through this because I think I wasn't able to restart it. I'll send you a copy of this. But to talk about, Hardy and I play a lot with AI.
A lot. Yep.
Susan, you and I have had a conversation before, so I know your history. So I went through and inputted all my notes into ChatGPT, asked for it to create a song, and then did a little back and forth to try to get it all like nice and put together. Then I went to an app called Suno.
Yeah. You put it all together.
Gave it all the lyrics for the song, and then put it on as, just produced it and just create a nice little rap for your, agency. So now you have a theme song.
So we're still live. So let me tell you what we're going to do. Jordan, you're going to pump that over to Doug and come at our Mansfield network group either next week or the week after. We should play that loud over the intercom. It just
just have it as a walk-in song.
Yes, have it as a
I
walk-in
need a
song.
montage now.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, we'll build it for you. All right, guys, while he's playing the music, we're getting ready to sign off. Please stay on for a few minutes, okay? Because your audio is being recorded up to our service arm, separate from our screen, so we need you to stay on a few minutes. So, Jordan, everybody, thank you for being part of the Mansfield Buzz. Love the song. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next Thursday at 2 p.m. Have a great day. Welcome to the Mansfield Buzz. Bye.